So if you've never started seeds before, there's a couple things that you're going to want to know about, right? Let's see. Let's start with the basics. What can you grow a seed in? Do we have to get all fancy like Mommy with these huge flats of seed trays? No, we don't have to do that.
You can use that though.
You can use it. It works wonderful. But if you're at home and you want to start seeds, what can we use?
We could use the garden pot.
Yeah. It's the little container for all the annual flowers that I bought. Yep. So.
We bought it to the
Yep. So we're just gonna disinfect that and reuse it. So what else do we have?
The cup.
Yes.
The cup.
Very simple. Plastic cups. Very easy.
What have to be at the bottom of this water bottle that we cut out?
Yep. So if you're gonna if you drink out of water bottles and you buy cases of the water like we do, then you can just cut it right in half and use this fancy little growing cup. There's various size pots you can use, but just household items. What do we eat a ton of at our house? And we have all these containers of
yogurt.
Yes. So here's the little yogurt containers that are empty. Those are so useful and they're reusable. And this is a plastic container. It's pretty large, but it has all these compartments because we bought it with
fruit.
Yeah, we bought it with fruit in it for a party. So what I did was I washed it out, and it came with a handy lid, which we can use as a dome, a humidity dome when they're starting. So it could be something as simple as that, and there is a lot of room in this tray. So what else do we have lying around all the time that we can start seeds in?
For egg container,
Yeah?
you could use the cardboard or the plastic.
Yeah, there's tons of little cups where the eggs were held. And then obviously the top can go back on as your humidity dome, so that's an awesome container to grow in. What else do we need to grow seeds?
So you definitely need this.
Yes, they're labels, right?
Yeah, you have to put it on each side.
Yep, here's what we do. We just kind of label the rows. So in here we have 5 rows. So if we're planting 5 plants of tomatoes, we just label them like that. So labels are super helpful. And finally we need
seeds.
Yep, and we have quite a variety.
A marker.
Yes, that's your favorite. All right, and we have tons of seeds. So once you get your seeds in and you figure out what you're going to use to grow in, then we can talk about soil. We do.
And I really like the stickers.
Yes. Let's head over to the sink and show them what we do for soil. Get yourself some seed starting mix. Not potting soil, not garden soil, seed starting mix. Because that is going to be a lot lighter for when your seeds germinate. It's going to allow the root to go way down in the pot. Okay, so here's our seed starting mix. And what I've done, I've already poured it into a white bucket. You have to pre-moisten your seed starting mix before you put it in the containers. Otherwise, when you water it, guess what's going to happen? All your seeds are going to float everywhere and they're going to not stay in position, and it's just going to be a big mess. So you want it to be moistened up really well, but you don't want it to be wet or goopy. This is perfect. Okay, so a couple really important things. We reuse our trays every year. And so what you have to remember is to always clean them every year with a 10% bleach and water solution. And that way it will kill anything left over from last year. Definitely get these cleaned up, and the drainage holes. You want to make sure, just like these come with the drainage holes in the bottom, you want to make sure if you're using some reusable containers from home that you want to punch holes in the bottom of these so that it has good drainage, and that goes for any of these containers. And then comes the important part. Not all of them get started at the same time. It's really going to depend on your last frost date. It's going to depend on how long the seeds take to germinate. Prime example, it is January now, and in February we start onion seeds. So if you look on the back of the package, how many days it takes to germinate. This onions almost take 2 weeks to germinate. Seed planting depth is 1/4 inch, and then on the back it says planting tips. If you see in the middle, direct seed onions as soon as soil can be worked, or start transplants 10 to 12 weeks before your planting date. They can go out before your last frost date. So those get started mid to the end of February for us. So what I do is I go through all of my seeds and I kind of write on there 4 to 6 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, and I will start them based on that date. So here's an example of seeds that actually get sown directly outside in the soil. You don't start these indoors. So these are called Carina shell peas. Direct seed as soon as soil can be worked in the spring. So anything that says direct seed, it's got to go right in the ground. You don't start them early. You don't start them under lights. You don't start them indoors. So that brings us to our next. Most important thing you want to understand is that they like to have temperatures that are warmer. So 75 to 85 degrees, and in our house it's not 75 to 85. But this germination mat, or seedling heat mat they call it, that's going to give us an extra 10 to 15 degrees warmer. So it's going to really help and aid in germination. When you're germinating your seeds, if you're planting them directly in the flats, you want to take a humidity dome that fits. Even saran wrap will work. You'll see under there. Way in the back, I have saran wrap over those black pots. But this is a humidity dome that fits, and it keeps the moisture and the heat in. So it aids in germination pretty quickly, and it just keeps you from having to water all the time. And so as soon as you see them starting to sprout, you definitely want to remove the cover, remove the heat, and just keep them well watered. If you're going to start your seeds indoors, you need to have some type of a lighting setup. Some people use fluorescent lights. I use T5 fluorescent bulbs because they don't get hot. So you can put them really closely to the seedlings and they won't burn. They're not going to put off too much heat, and they're really bright. So if you can see, I have some daylily seeds that have sprouted and are growing, and the light is literally maybe 4 or 5 inches above them. I could probably put them closer if I wanted to, but they're adjustable. I have it on a chain right here, and there's some hooks. So as the plants get taller, I just raise them up. And that becomes important when you start to have different size plants. For example, tomato plants, they're going to start to get stocky and they're going to get tall and leafy. So you really want to be able to adjust the lights as they grow. Okay, so that pretty much covers the basics of seed starting. I hope it helped to answer any questions that you have about starting seeds for the first time. And if it didn't, write your questions below in the comments section and I'll be sure to answer them.